Hello, I'm the Doctor.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we are at episode 31. So we hope you guys have had a great week and have enjoyed the extra stuff that we put out for you this week.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where the commentary
good feedback, yeah.
Yeah, it's been cool. So we did our first commentary show, which was great fun.
It was good, actually. I'm really looking forward to doing more of those. I loved it.
It was very cool. And we've had some really nice comments from you guys as well. So thank you hugely for that. And just let us know. We've got one more confirmed that we're going to give you next month. But if you want to hear more of those, just let us know and we'll continue to do them. And suggest ones that we can do as well. Anything from the modern Doctor Who era, which is, I think we said before, it fits in with the podcast time that we normally do. We don't want to do a six-parter from the Pertwee era.
No, didn't somebody jokingly recommend the Daleks Master Plan or something? Yeah. Because it just goes on forever. I mean, yeah, it'd be great to do those commentaries, but they're just too long, whereas the 45-minute format is perfect. So
yeah, it's very cool. Other than that, what have you been up to, mate? Anything cool?
Yeah, well, I've been editing a new vid today. Been doing a bit of that. It's a review of the series 1 to 7 Blu-ray.
Yes, at last.
I know. I've been doing this video for ages, but I'm finally getting around to getting it together. I'll tell you what I haven't done yet, and I really can't wait to do, is the silver screen TARDIS box. I still need to do that.
Oh yeah.
So these are the two that I've got on my must-do list, but I'm getting there. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, mate, because that review would have been invaluable to me, like maybe 2 months ago.
Oh, sorry about that.
Because I was doing so much research. I was trying to find out some details about it. I was like doing like a Google for Doctor Who Blu-ray box set, picture quality versus DVD, and
I see. I thought you were talking about the silver screen one. Oh, the Blu-ray one.
The Blu-ray box set, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
What is it you want to know, and I'll tell you. Well, I'll give you an exclusive.
Well, I found it at quite a good price, and I was like, I've not seen it that cheap, for a while. And I thought, should I bite the bullet and get it? Because I've got series 1 to 4 on just the normal DVDs, but then from 5 onwards, I've got the Blu-ray box sets.
Right.
So
same. Yeah.
So I thought, is it worth the visual upgrade for the first 4 series? So.
Without ruining, no, it's not really, to be honest, because I had the same as you. I'd got the first 4 and then the rest on Blu-ray, and
okay.
I just really wanted to. I'm just a bit. I do say at the end of my review, actually, it's not worth buying it again if you've already got them, because obviously your Blu-ray upscales the picture anyway. To me, they do look great. Don't get me wrong, and I love having them all in one neat little box, but it's just the price, really. If you can find it for a good price, then maybe it is, but. Yeah, they are pretty much straight transfer. They are only upgraded. They're not, full proper HD for the first 4 series. So, you're not really getting much different that you haven't already got. So, yeah, if you can get it for a good price, though, it is a nice box set.
I suspected, yeah.
Yeah.
I did think that. I thought, is it enough of a visual? Because I think the audio is quite cool on it. They've got a decent surround track now. But, yeah, I was thinking, picture quality-wise, because I think I saw it for 120 quid.
Well, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that's the cheapest I've seen it so far. And, it's just the completist in me. It's just, there's a box set out there, all nice Blu-rays all together, and you get a Sonic with it as well, don't you?
No, you don't.
Oh.
No. That's the Region 1 version.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Oh, okay. No, well, that's the bit you're going to love in my review. Is when I compare the difference between what Region 1 got and what the Region 2 got, because ours was more expensive as well. So let's put it this way, they got a lot more content on the Region 1.
Right.
You'll probably there'll be steam coming out of your ears when you see that bit.
Okie dokie. Right. Yeah.
But the review will be up soon, mate. So have a look, see what you think.
Okay, cool. So you've just been busy with Geeks Handbag videos.
Geeks Handbag, yeah, been watching a bit of Who, been watching a bit of Carry On as well. I've
Carry
needed
On?
a bit, yeah, I know, I've needed a bit of light relief this week. So I find Carry Ons are quite good for having on in the background when you're doing stuff. And yeah, so yeah, a bit of Carry On this week as well.
Very sweet. A bit of classic Brit comedy.
Oh, matron, yeah.
Okay.
Go on, give me your best,
I
Kenneth
can't.
Williams.
I don't even know the line. What's the line?
Matron. Stop messing about. I can't do it.
Oh, cool,
Yeah,
man.
but what about you, mate? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Not a lot, to be honest with you. It's been a
Okay.
fairly. I felt pretty basic this week so far. I've not really been doing much. I've obviously been watching some Who.
Yeah.
For today. So our review episode, The Doctor's Wife, that I watched it for the second time last night.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I need to finish watching. I started Genesis of the Daleks again.
Oh, yes, that's good.
And I only got a couple of episodes in, not because I felt I wanted to turn it off, but I had to go away and do stuff. But I need to finish watching that because I've only seen it once before when I first grabbed the discs a couple of years ago.
Right.
So it's just something that I just felt, let's watch that one. So I need to finish that before we move on to our watching the one for next week.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that reminds me. I haven't even looked. I can't even remember what we're doing next week. What is it?
Let me tell you.
Go on, you tell me.
One sec. We are doing Robot.
Ah, brilliant. I thought it was. I just wasn't sure. Good. I'm looking forward to that.
Could be a slight issue.
What, you haven't got it?
I might need to order that now.
Okay.
Did I get it? I can't even remember. Have I got it? I'll have to have a look, mate. Oh, shit.
I thought you'd got it.
I'll have to have a look.
All right. We might be doing Robot then.
We I think Amazon, they should deliver it out to me like by Saturday,
That's it.
hopefully. So yeah, Robot next week. That'd be cool.
That will be good.
Yeah. And next week, talking of next week's show, we're going to finally announce the details of the competition for March.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Exciting stuff. Because we mentioned this a few weeks back, and then we've been a bit quiet about it recently. So we've got, yeah, it's going to be really good to finally be able to give a bit more detail away. Not everything, but we'll be giving a little bit away about that, won't we?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we should be, you should be able to enter from next week. And we'll give you some details of some of the stuff we're giving away.
Fantastic.
So it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we land and do the news?
Let's do it.
In the TARDIS news this week, we're going to start off with not the best news.
No, some quite sad news.
Yeah, but like we've said a few times in the past, it's good to kind of celebrate the people that have been involved with the show.
Absolutely.
Instead of being sad and down about it, it's always good to recognise their cool work. So unfortunately, though, Mr. Barry Newbury has passed away. He was 88, yeah. And Barry was one of the original designers way back when it first started. So we're talking Unearthly Child stuff.
Yeah, he was really prolific, wasn't he? I mean, I was looking back at the list of stuff he'd done just for Doctor Who yesterday, and he did loads for the show, and he contributed quite a lot. So yeah, it's a lot of great work there.
Yeah, of course.
For him to be remembered by. Yeah.
Yeah, he went right up into it must have been the McCourt. No,
was it The Awakening?
The Awakening, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that what Doctor was that?
That's Davison.
That's okay, right.
Yeah, and that's it's an interesting little story, that one. Have you not seen that one yet?
No.
Okay, it's got this giant face behind a wall in a church, and well, as soon as I saw that and he was involved in it, it all fitted together. I thought, yes, I could see that, because visually it's quite a good little story, that one.
Okay.
In terms of this giant evil face behind a wall, because it's all sort of like a big animatronic thing.
Oh, okay.
But he did loads, didn't he? Loads of Fourth Doctors, like Brain of Morbius, which is one of my favourite stories.
Love that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. There's the story I can never pronounce right, the Mask of Mandragora. I never get it right. I don't even know why I tried to do that. The Invisible Enemy. Some great Tom Baker stories, and also, like you said, the early work Marco Polo, which sadly we can't enjoy because it's not available. It's missing as far as we know.
Yep.
Yeah, lost presumably. The Aztecs though, which is a fantastic first Doctor story. I love the Aztecs, and the Time Meddler as well, which is a story I don't believe you've watched yet. Am I
Is
right?
it Troughton?
No, it's Hartnell, but it's one that someone's requested, so that might
sorry.
be another one you need to order.
Oh, okay, yep.
But the Time Meddler, yeah, it's another good one.
Yeah. So he was involved kind of out of, I think he got drafted onto the show out of default, really, because just by reading a little bit up about Barry, it turns out that the original designer for Doctor Who kind of left on not the best circumstances. He had some disagreements with Verity Lambert.
Yeah.
And so Barry was drafted in and, went on to do many years of good work.
Yeah, definitely. He's left behind a really good legacy. Yeah.
So,
There's a book actually, the Barry Newbury signature collection, which I've picked up many a time and wanted to buy. It's not that cheap though. It's but it's just a sort of collection of photographs of all his sets and stuff. And I always have a little flick through, and he did. He did some really great work.
Right.
So yeah, he's left behind a good legacy there.
Indeed. So Barry Newbury, 27 to 2015.
Yeah.
Next bit of news. Mr. Danny Pink, Mr. Samuel Anderson himself, he's picked up an award. Good chap.
Is it for those pie commercials he's been doing?
That's pie. Or is it the home base commercial?
What was it? I don't know. There was big pictures of him on the side of vans, isn't there? With I don't know what it is actually. Could be home base, could be pies.
Yeah. There was,
I don't think it is for that though.
Yeah, this advert for home base. I saw it a few weeks ago, and I thought, because you only saw him from the back to begin with, I thought that looks like Danny Pink. And I thought, no, he's in Doctor Who. He's not going to be doing a home base commercial. And at the end, he doesn't even say anything. He's just kind of posing with a cup of tea at the end with his on-screen girlfriend, it looks like.
No, it's a shame he doesn't say anything because he's got quite a sort of unique voice, isn't he? He's got quite a deep sort of voice.
Yeah.
Quite a recognisable voice, I would have said.
Yeah.
So what's he won?
He's won Best Male Performance in TV at the 2015 Screen Nation Film and Television Awards. Mm-hmm. So these awards are run, it's to promote products and actors of primarily African heritage working in the UK industry for TV and film, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's been awarded to his work on Doctor Who, obviously, and something called Trolleyed, which I've heard of but not seen.
Oh, I was about to ask you that because I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. I don't even know what channel it's on.
I'm not sure. I know of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's good to see him getting a bit of recognition. I think he was good in Who, wasn't he? He wasn't too bad.
I thought, overall he was okay. I think he
with what he was given.
Yeah, I think a bit like Rory. I think he put up with a lot.
But
that's probably another story. But he was pretty good. I mean, acting wise, he was very good.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Good to see him getting a bit of recognition.
Yeah.
Well done, Samuel.
Good on you, mate.
Do you think we've seen the last of him in Who? Do you think he'll be back?
I don't think he'll be back.
I've got a feeling he's going to crop up again.
You think?
Somewhere along the line. I don't think we've seen the last of him. Yeah.
Okay.
I think towards Jenna's leaving, whenever she decides to move on, I bet you Moffat won't be able to resist just bringing him back somewhere along the line.
That's true, yeah. If Moffat is still showrunner, it's highly likely, isn't it?
If he hasn't been removed, you mean?
Yeah, if he hasn't been evicted from BBC Kimbru.
That's right.
Okay, so well done, Mr. Danny Pink.
Yeah, well done. I've got a little bit of not sad news, but quite frustrating news, actually, to end off the news section. BBC DVD Inquiry line, they've confirmed that the Underwater Menace DVD, which was originally due for release in 2014, which was then rescheduled to this year, has actually been removed from their schedule altogether. Haven't really given any reason or said, why. But this is a shame because this is, like I said, it's been in the pipeline for a while. Episode 2, I think it was, of Underwater Menace was returned to the archives in 2011 and has still not been released. So it's really frustrating that we've got, unseen Who in the can, just sort of sitting there, and there's no release schedule for it. So I'm quite frustrated by this bit of news. It's not to say it won't come out, of course, that maybe they've got plans, but they've just said that for the time being, it's not on the schedule.
Is that, did you say it was just episode 2 that they've got confirmed?
Well, no, they've got, I think it's a 4-part episode, and they've got 2 of the 4 episodes. And I think originally the plan was to animate the 2 missing episodes like they've done before.
Okay.
And I think it's part 2, would be the earliest Troughton episode, that we've actually still got in the archive. So,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I mean, another thing they say in their statement is that they're currently exploring options and are hoping to fire up the range again later in the year. So that maybe suggests that they've got plans for, I don't know, perhaps reissues. Perhaps they're going to do box sets of each Doctor and include it in that. I don't know. It sounds like they've got plans, but it is frustrating because it's the only story that currently exists in the archives that hasn't been released, even though 2 episodes are missing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's sort of, like you said about the completist in you, we want it in our collection, and, it's now 4 years since episode 2 got returned and still not been released. It seems a bit slack, really.
Yeah, it is a bit. And we need another one as well, because reading this article, it's a year ago that we last had any Classic Who released.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's so little of Troughton's, time on the Doctor, actually in the archives. There's so much missing that anything that we've got, obviously we want to have in some sort of format, Yeah, it seems it's just a bit sad. I don't know. I'm sure at some point it will come out, and I'm interested to see what their plans are. But it is disappointing to hear that it's now got off the schedule completely. So I know there's a petition out there to get it released. So yeah, get signing the petition and let's get it out.
Yeah, and is this a separate thing? Because on the article it says anyone wishing to express their support to get this released, you can do so by sending an email on the BBC's online contact form, or sending I love the way they word this, or sending a polite letter, and they give you an actual physical address. Who sends letters anymore?
So I do get, I get my quill out and write a little letter every now and again.
Quill. Oh no, there's a separate link actually. Fans have also started an online petition. Right, we'll put that link. One. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes.
That's it. Yeah. Get on the petition. Mind you, I always think. I mean, I love that people are enthusiastic and do a petition, but do petitions ever actually, do they work? I don't know, but it can't do any harm. So yeah,
indeed,
sign the petition.
Do you know what's quite annoying about this story? Is I can see, the BBC. Over the years, they've always initiated these big cost-cutting exercises and stuff like that, which really infuriates a lot of people, because you can see them absolutely ploughing, or, replacing that word, losing, so much money by doing various things.
Yeah.
And then they cost-cut in other areas, which don't really need it. I can see this kind of thing happening back in the day where they're like, well, we need to save money. Well, let's just record over, a load of film that we've already used for Doctor Who. Let's just save ourselves some money in buying new film. We'll just record over it. Yeah,
I know. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. I mean, another reason for doing it, and this again seems crazy, I think the Actors Union didn't used to like their sort of actors having shows repeated. So, they were sort of keen to see that, any sort of work they'd done destroyed, which seems bizarre.
Oh.
I can't remember the sort of ins and outs of it, but there's a few reasons why these things happen. But you're right, the majority of the reason was for cost-cutting exercises, and, you just can't imagine it, really. It just, wouldn't happen now, but different time, I guess.
Yeah, indeed.
If they could go back in our TARDIS...
One day
it would probably cause what's that thing that Moffat has in Angels Take Manhattan? The reason that Matt can't go back to that time, that ridiculous excuse, it probably caused a time bubble or something.
Oh, what's that called?
I don't know, but
it's
whenever
not a paradox, is it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, paradox. Yeah,
it's all timey-wimey anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
But
yeah, I'd love to see whatever they've got. I think we should have.
We should have, indeed.
We should have. Yeah, I need it. The completist in me needs that released.
Because you probably own all of every single classic DVD. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. I certainly. Yeah, I think I've got every single one released. I don't know. I hopefully haven't missed anything over the years. I pretty much bought them whenever they release, because I they get reduced quite quickly now. They're actually really quite cheap to pick up, aren't they?
They are.
But I always had to buy them on release, so I'd always paid full price. But I think I've got all the classics.
That's cool. I think I've got maybe half of the classics, I would say, just under half.
Yeah, you put a picture on Facebook not that long ago of your classic range, and it looked like it was coming on nicely.
Yeah, it's grown as well since then. Taken over another shelf, so it's getting there.
It's getting there, mate.
It's good news for me, though, because I get to pick them all up for $5 at the most, I think.
I was thinking that, yeah. I mean, there was a set I recommended to you recently. What was it? The Sharda set, but I can't remember what it's actually called.
Yeah.
And it comes with the 30 years in the TARDIS.
That's right, yep.
And it's like $5.99 or something. I was like, oh, that set. That's get that set. It's great. And I probably paid about 20 quid for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. You can pick them up at a good price now, which is great as well, because a lot of we were saying last week about a lot of our younger viewers who, are getting into the classic series. And I've seen a few videos online of them going into H&V and picking them up and be like, Pyramids of Mars, $5.99. And, it's great actually that they're that price and people can afford to buy them. It's like it's a fairly cheap entry point for the younger dudes to get into it, because if they're kind of modern Doctor Who fans and have never really seen any of the classic ones and they've been recommended, the last thing you want to do is go out and spend 20 quid on a box set or a 15 quid on a disc. So no, exactly.
Yeah,
it's very good
indeed.
Yeah, so that's the news this week.
That's news.
That be news.
So, reviewage.
Yeah, this week's episode, The Doctor's Wife.
I'm the TARDIS.
No, you're not. You're a bitey mad lady. The TARDIS is up and downy stuff in a big blue box.
Yes, that's me. A Type 40 TARDIS. I was already a museum piece when you were young. And the first time you touched my console,
I said you were the most beautiful thing I'd ever known.
Then you stole me. And I stole you.
I borrowed you.
Borrowing implies the eventual intention to return the thing that was taken. What makes you think I would ever give you back?
You're the TARDIS.
Yes.
My TARDIS.
My doctor.
What a cool scene.
So the Doctor's wife. For the benefit of anyone that hasn't seen this, and presumably everyone who's listening to this will have seen it, but let me just get it straight. The TARDIS matrix gets removed and put into human form, and that's pretty much it, isn't it? That's the Doctor's wife.
That, in a nutshell, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's loads more to it, but that's basically what it is. The TARDIS becomes human form in the sort of guise of this woman called Idris. Is that right?
Idris, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Idris.
No, Idris.
Idris, yeah. So it's kind of oversimplified the episode there, but that's the handle, isn't it, on what happened? And so this one, when was this? 2011.
Yeah. So
a few years ago now. This was Series 6.
Series 6, yeah, a very strange series, isn't it? Series 6. It's very it's got a lot of arcs going on in it and stuff. It was a bit of a bumpy ride.
Yeah,
Series 6.
It was up and down, wasn't it? And
this is one of the more standalone episodes, I think, from that series.
Yeah, it was more of the classic kind of creature feature sort of concept that Who used to be very famous for.
Yeah.
And so why did we choose this one? Well, I think we mentioned this a couple of times on a previous episode, but we didn't want to pick stories or episodes that had been very popular already, because if you look at any kind of fan-based blog about Doctor Who or review site, you always see the same episodes coming forward, don't you? It's always things like Blink and Genesis of the Daleks, Pyramid of Mars, Caves of Androzani, all those things, which are fantastic episodes, but they've been done a lot. So we wanted to find episodes where, quite often overlooked, maybe divide opinion. And I think out of the Matt Smith era, this is one of the episodes which I think is very much divided amongst fans, because you always hear either the word overrated or you hear the word fantastic, something like that. People swing both ways on this one.
Absolutely.
And and let's kick off. So we've explained the story very basically. Let's kick off then with how that story actually develops, because it starts off with, it's one of those classic beginnings, isn't it, in the TARDIS, where you've got the crew inside and they're having some light banter, and all of a sudden it's just something happens and they get pulled into something. You know, that classic that's been used like a million times on Doctor Who before. And when I was watching, I actually thought about that quite a lot when I was watching it, especially on the second time. I thought, wow, we're into this same setup that we've seen many times before, where the Doctor and the companions, they're having a laugh, you know, they're discussing what they're going to be doing next, and all of a sudden there's like an explosion or a blinking light on the TARDIS, and then they're pretty much into the story. You don't really need much of a build-up. And I was thinking, you know, for this particular type of story and, you know, this setup, could we have done with a bit more time on that? Is it the rift, isn't it, where they are? It's like is it like an asteroid or a little planet or something there where this happens?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Or is it, no, it's the creature itself, isn't it, that they land on?
That planet is the creature?
Yeah, because or he inhabits the planet.
He inhabits it, that's right, yeah, that's it. Yeah, the house.
So when they land on that, I was thinking, you know, could they have done with a little bit more time exploring those two characters, you know, the auntie and uncle, and what's going on, because they kind of plop the Doctor on and it's a little bit of a rush job to try and explain, you know, who they are and what they're doing. You don't really know what's going on too much, and then it moves very quickly to be about the Doctor and Idris.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So what did you make to the story, like, you know, getting into it and stuff? Because I thought that we could have had a little bit more time finding out what was going on with those two characters and the Ood. I love the Ood.
I love the Ood. Looks really sinister in this as well. I like it.
Yeah, with the green eyes and stuff. So what do you think, man? Kicking off the story, all good? Or
well, yeah. I mean, I think actually, although I really simplified it in the beginning, it's actually a bit of a contradiction, because this episode has got so many ideas in it that it's almost sort of bursting at the seams, and it also, like you said, it also doesn't have enough time to really sort of put them into action. I mean, I thought that Uncle and...
Is it Uncle and...
Auntie, is it?
Auntie, I'm sure it is, yeah.
It is Uncle and Auntie. I don't know why I thought it sounded wrong. Yeah, I thought they were in it a lot more than they were. I mean, when I watched it again yesterday, they're actually hardly in it. In my mind, I was thinking they were in it all the way through for some reason. But yeah, they're only literally in the beginning.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, you explaining about the house, you know, inhabiting the whole planet. I mean, that hadn't even stuck in my head. I think there's so much going on in this story that I find it, even on a second or third viewing, I still find it a little bit confusing, and I don't know that some of the ideas actually have the payoff that they need, really. And it could have been a two-parter, I think.
Yeah, I not thought of that before, but yeah, it would have been a two-parter would have suited this pretty well, actually, because I would have loved to have seen more time on screen with the Doctor and Idris as well, because they had some really touching moments, and the chemistry was really good between them, and you could tell that the Doctor was very much, you know, loving having a physical TARDIS form.
Yeah.
You know, he absolutely loved it, and he got really upset, didn't he, towards the end when she had to leave that body and get back inside the actual TARDIS. But I would have loved to have seen a bit more of that. You know, just a bit more time with them to discussing maybe some of the older adventures that they've been on some past Doctors and stuff, and because there was a bit of continuity there in terms of referencing the first Doctor and him stealing the TARDIS and that kind of stuff. But there was that huge gap. It was that, and it was the first Doctor's little first adventure stealing a TARDIS, and then it was Matt Smith. I would love to have seen a bit more of those two discussing, you know, some other little funny moments from his timeline and stuff like that. But
yeah, they definitely could have worked more with what they got. I think it could easily have worked as a two-parter. I have to admit, I think Matt Smith is absolutely fantastic in this episode. In fact, I think he's the best thing in it for me. I actually find Suranne Jones as Idris quite annoying. I think there is good chemistry between the two, but I don't really like her. I find her performance quite over the top. It's a bit too zany, and I know she's probably been directed to act like that because obviously she's, you know, a human that's got a TARDIS inside her, and it's all a bit, I mean, the bit where she goes to bite the Doctor, I was just cringing. I was thinking, oh God, you know, it was almost a bit too, there's a lot of performance in this that's like Auntie and Uncle and Idris particularly, just it almost seems like we're getting silly voices, like they think they're in Les Mis or something. I don't know. There's something about the way it's acted didn't really connect to me, and I didn't really sort of. I know a lot of people think Saran Jones is brilliant in this, but for me, I found her quite irritating actually. And the only thing that saves it is the chemistry between her and Matt, and I think Matt is fantastic in this episode. He saves it for me.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with you slightly there, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought Saran Jones was really good in this.
Yeah, I know I'm in the minority, but
yeah, I mean, I will agree with you and say that Matt was the best thing in this episode. He was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and he kind of saved the day almost, which is kind of the job of the star of the show. You know, sometimes when other little character plots or characters themselves aren't quite working, or the story's not quite doing it, it really is up to the lead, the main guy or lady to pull a performance out the bag and almost save it, pull it out of a potential disaster. But yeah, I thought Matt was so good in this. He had that classic Matt Smith about him that it's so enjoyable to watch, where he's up and down emotional wise. It's at 1 minute he's just standard Doctor, where a little bit zany, a little bit funny, with kind of edge of seriousness to him, and then a next moment he's really upset, really crying, and then sometimes I don't know how he does it. He's so good at this, Matt Smith, but he just pulls these little funny one-liners just out of nowhere. He changes his attitude like in a split second. On my notes here, I've got an example where Amy and Rory are locked in the TARDIS, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, and he doesn't know what's going on. And I think in this particular incarnation of the Doctor, it's the first time that he hasn't got a plan.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what to do. And he says that in quite a scared way, and then literally within a split second, his face lights up with this huge smile, and he's like, that's a new one. Even in those dark moments, Matt Smith just pulls out this, I don't know, he's just brilliant at that. I know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Actually, yeah, I was thinking actually when you were saying that actually about the bit where he thinks the Time Lords are there, and then he finds the cupboard with all the message cubes or whatever they're called inside, and he realizes there's no Time Lords. It's just a bunch of recordings, and like you said, he goes from the excitement to sadness, at the flip of a coin. And I don't know. I just rewatching this, I just really, really thought Matt was brilliant in it. I think he's playing it really straight as well, and that's what I like. Whereas I found some of the other characters just not, I mean, he's acting them off the planet, I think, in this one. Like I like the characters of Uncle and Auntie, for example. I like the look of them, the style. But they're doing these silly voices, and I don't know, they're still not bad actors, and they work really well in it. But Matt Smith just, is just a notch above the rest in this one.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park. Maybe that's something that we've seen quite a few times with, especially modern Doctor Who, where the writing isn't fantastic, which is kind of weird, because I remember when Neil Gaiman was announced. Reading about that because I've read some other of Neil Gaiman's books and so on, before I was into Doctor Who, and I remember seeing that he had been announced to write for Doctor Who, and thinking, oh, that's really cool. And now obviously I'm into it, and I've watched it. I was expecting a lot more from him.
I was going to ask you that actually. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of Gaiman's previous stuff you've read. I mean, I haven't read any of it. I know he's a really sort of. Really thought of author. I know he's held in very high regard, and I know a lot of people were really buzzing when they found out he was watching episode .2. And when I found out some of the stuff he'd written, I realised I knew a lot more about him than I thought. I thought, I didn't know he wrote that, and but yeah, I didn't know how much you'd sort of knew about Gaiman and what you were expecting from him when you heard.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those authors where he kind of goes through these phases where he can do no wrong. You know what I mean? He'll release like a few books over a space of a couple of years, and he'll be like involved in a few films and stuff like that, and everything he does just turns to gold. And then you won't hear from him for a little while, and then he'll come back and he'll do something even better. So he's really high regarded, author, as you say, and he's been involved in so many good things. And I've got a few of his previous books, and he's really good. And I thought, this episode surely is going to be one of the best with him on board, because it wasn't like he was writing in conjunction with anybody, or it was his own baby, if you like, a one-off story, a contained story that he could kind of go to town on. But I think I still think it's. From someone like Neil Gaiman anyway, I think this could have been so much better. It should have been a two-parter, like you say. And I think the writing the story is quite okay, I feel, for Doctor Who. It's simple enough that you don't have to think too hard about it. But it's not one of the kids' ones, really. It's kind of in the middle. And really, the story kind of carries itself, and the character writing should have really just brought this one home for like a 9 out of 10. But it just didn't. I don't know why the way the characters are written the way they were, and I just think it's a pacing thing and a timing thing. I think it just needed more time to breathe and more time to get some cool scenes between these characters going on.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. I mean, I know when I was looking up on this episode, doing a bit of research and stuff. I mean, apparently he began writing it before Matt Smith was even cast, and it was supposed to be in series 5, and then it got knocked back to series 6 because of budget reasons. He wanted to include his own monster, but they couldn't afford it, so they had to use the Ood. So I mean, it sounds like it's a slightly sort of troubled production. So perhaps certain things, I mean, I know it got quite a few rewrites, and I think Gaiman himself has said that Stephen Moffat put in some bits to help him out and stuff, and it sounds like perhaps he had a really good sort of original idea and script, and it just had to be changed over time for all these reasons, and perhaps stuff got lost and muddled.
Well, you have to remember the Neil Gaiman came back, didn't he, and wrote another Doctor Who story, which didn't really do that well either. Nightmare in Silver.
Do you know what? I can't stand Nightmare in Silver. I can't. I have given that. I have rewatched that. I keep thinking, no, I try to go into it without this negative because I think it can't be that bad. And I've watched it a couple of times. I just can't stand it. But this is a million miles better than Nightmare in Silver. I mean, I actually do. I do enjoy this episode quite a lot, but I think it's far from perfect. And I think it does get classed as overrated because when it went out, this was one of the reasons I wanted to rewatch it. Actually, this is the main reason I wanted to rewatch it, is because when it first went out, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and that was it. And then I was looking at all the forums, and the press and everything were absolutely saying it was amazing. This is the best Doctor Who episode ever. And I was thinking, what the hell did I miss? It was a good episode, but what's going on? Why is everyone going mad about it?
Right.
And I think I watched it again, sort of afterwards, and still thought the same. And I haven't watched it for a long time, until yesterday. And again, I don't get quite what the big fuss is about it. I do like it. I do think it's good, and it's a great concept. I like the whole idea behind it, but I don't get why it's so acclaimed as an episode. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of echo that, mate. It's especially that's kind of the angle I was going for. It's with somebody as famous and prolific as Neil Gaiman, you would have thought this would have been, one of the Matt Smith era's best. But I just think that his character writing just lacks something, and it really was just down to Matt to save it, really. And I really liked Saran Jones. I did really enjoy her performance, and I thought it was cool, but I just wanted to see more. I thought it was over too quickly. Yeah.
I have to say, I mean, I'll tell you what, I think watching this again yesterday, I think the first half of this story actually is really good. I like the beginning. I like it when they're on the planet. For me, where this story dips big time is when we have all the stuff with Amy and Rory in the TARDIS corridors.
Oh, yeah.
For me, that just, A, it goes on too long. B, it's really predictable because they keep waking up from a sort of dream scenario type thing. So you just know that whatever's happening isn't actually happening because they keep doing it over and over again. It's unnecessarily dark. I mean, I like Doctor Who being dark, but there's a bit where Rora's a skeleton and stuff, and it's just plain horrible. And it just, I don't know, it's just got no, when you get the two sort of main characters in peril like that, and it is a sort of dream sequence, there's no peril because you know that the outcome is all going to be fine because they're going to keep waking up, and you know that they're not going to kill off the two main characters. You know, I know Rory died a thousand times, but you know what I mean? So for me, it's 10 minutes of really boring television because there's no sort of suspense, or you know nothing's going to happen to them. You know it's a dream, and it's just really predictable. And that, for me, is where the episode really dips, you know. And then we get back into the 10th Doctor's TARDIS console room, and that's where it comes good again. I mean, I love that. I love the fact that we get to see 10's console room again, because I love his console room.
It was so good seeing that.
Yeah, but that's where the episode dips for me, and that's why I don't rate it as high as perhaps other people, because that whole bit just drags it down. But it is, you know, and then it comes back up again, like you said. Then we get back to the Doctor and Idris making the junkyard TARDIS, which is fantastic. I love all that. Yeah, you know, and all that sort of last 10 minutes is really good.
Yeah, and I think what you just, because I was going to come on to Amy and Rory, and I think that's one of the aspects that didn't help this episode, where effectively Amy and Rory were sidelined, so that so that they could, you know, you can't just ignore that they're there, so you have to give them something to do. But they were kind of very bluntly sidelined, so that you could concentrate on this core, you know, scenes and relationship between the Doctor and Idris. But there just wasn't enough of that to kind of, you know, cancel out, you know, the Amy and Rory sideline bit. So I could see where they were going with it, you know, that kind of writing direction, but they didn't make enough of the Doctor and TARDIS stuff to kind of warrant Amy and Rory being sidelined. So it just didn't work, you know, enough as it should do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sideline, you're absolutely spot on there, because they don't really get anything to do. You know, I think the idea is to put them in peril, you know, but it just doesn't work, because like you said, it would have been much nicer to have spent more time with the Doctor and Idris, you know. One thing I don't get actually is all these TARDISes have been brought to the planet and they're all crashed. That's why there's all these bits of TARDIS, which is a lovely idea. You know, they build a junkyard TARDIS to use from all the spare bits. But why hasn't the house, or whatever it is that's trying to escape from the planet, why hasn't his plan worked with all these other Time Lords that landed there? Like, what's different about... Because he seems to inhabit Matt's TARDIS really easily, and his plan works, and he's up in the sky, and I don't get all that. Like, how come there's all these other Time Lords that have crashed there, and he hasn't escaped, you know? Like, okay, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've missed something there.
Yeah, I didn't really give that too much thought, I will be honest. But now you've mentioned it, yeah, that's a good point. Because we do see, like, the whole junkyard scene where he's building, like, a makeshift TARDIS. When he looks over the ridge, there's, like, a load of just busted up TARDIS, isn't there? And
yeah, and I love all that.
Yeah, that's really cool. But, yeah, you're right. I'm not sure what makes this Doctor and this TARDIS different.
Because it's so easily done. And again, this could be down to the sort of, like you said, a bit of a rush, just moving the story along. Do you know what I mean? Because he just sort of gets in the TARDIS really easily, and, you know, and then obviously Amy and Rory are trapped inside, and he takes off, and obviously he would have escaped if the Doctor hadn't rebuilt a TARDIS. But it just makes you wonder, like, if it's that easy, how come he hasn't escaped before?
Yeah, I read you, man. It's one of those little story quirks that, you know, we could probably debate for hours.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know, the Doctors, why should they be any different? You know, it's very cool, but I see what you mean. It's a bit of another blunt instrument in the story.
Yeah. Well, I do love the junkyard TARDIS, and I didn't realise it was a Blue Peter competition winner. I mean, that's brilliant.
That's very cool.
Yeah, because I just love it. It's got a sort of, it looks a bit like the sort of old classic console a bit, and you got a bit of roundels going on and stuff. I think it's really good. Yeah,
that's very cool. Two things I wanted to mention before we get onto the review. Mm-hmm. The first one is, while we're talking about sort of story conundrums and quirks and stuff, why is it this is probably very easily explained, but, you know, my mind hasn't thought about this too much, but with the characters auntie and uncle, they've obviously had certain body parts replaced and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Why is Idris just perfectly fine, and where did she come from?
Oh, well, that was another thing I wrote down. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't, because I don't get why they're all made up of different bits. And
yeah, because obviously I don't want to venture too much into the anatomy of people who have been rebuilt by different humans, but I'm guessing that Idris is not the daughter of auntie and uncle because she's too old anyway. So where did she, unless she might be their daughter. It doesn't feel like that.
I don't think so.
So where did she come from? She wasn't obviously born on that asteroid, and she hasn't had all of her stuff replaced and everything. I know she's not quite that old where she needs that yet, but she seems just like a perfectly normal, if not a bit slightly crazy, normal woman living on an asteroid. I don't know where she's come from.
Yeah, and I think this comes back to what you were saying earlier, actually, where we could have had a bit more backstory, given a bit more time, because these little points aren't very clear, are they? We don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
So that again would have benefited from a bit more depth and story time. I have to say, I think visually this episode looks great. Still, I think the effects and everything look really good in it. I particularly love like the green gas around the TARDIS and the actual planet itself. That this sort of CGI of this almost looks like a rocket or something, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think it looks good. I think visually it's a really nice looking episode. There's a lot of colours in it. I noticed a lot of depth, and visually it's really good.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree. It did look good, and a lot of corridors again.
Yeah, now, I mean, we get different corridors. I mean, we've mentioned before about the TARDIS corridors. I mean, in Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, they were as bland as dishwater, weren't they? And in this one, they're kind of a bit more like what I'd imagine the TARDIS corridors to look like, but they still don't look very good to me. They look a bit like they're made of balsa wood or something.
They probably are.
Yeah, but they're a bit more, at least they've got a bit of roundels on them and stuff. So, don't know. What did you think of the TARDIS corridors in this one?
Yeah,
they look a bit cheap to me.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, they're just a bit. Obviously, it's exactly the same set that they've used a billion times by the look of it. It was just set up a little bit, just cheap and cheerful.
Yeah.
It
Sounds like a big. Sorry, go on.
No, go on, mate.
No, I was going to say, it sounds like I've been quite negative about this episode, but I just watching it yesterday. I just couldn't help but sort of pick a lot of fault with it, really.
Yeah, I was just thinking that we sound a little bit negative. It's a good episode. It's a good story. We're not bashing it completely. It's just there are, especially on a rewatch, there are certain things that you just can't move forward. It just niggles you too much after.
Yeah, well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. If it needed more room to breathe, and I think it could have been a classic.
Yeah. Before we move on to review scores, just lastly, what did you think of Michael Sheen as House?
Oh yeah, do you know what? I'm glad you've mentioned that because I didn't even know it was him until I was reading up on it yesterday. I was quite shocked. I was like, that was Michael Sheen because his voice is treated. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we don't ever see House. I was surprised. Gives a good vocal performance, I guess. Yeah. I
thought he sounded quite cool.
Yeah, definitely.
He had this very deep voice, quite posh.
Well, they put a bit of effect on it because we were saying, what was that story we were talking about where you were saying they didn't use any effect on the voice, so it felt really flat.
The visitation.
Yeah. At least they sort of treated it a little bit, and I think it worked well actually. I just had no idea it was Michael Sheen. Almost seems a bit of a waste because he's such a good actor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just to do a voiceover, but still very cool.
Very cool indeed. So reviews.
Yes.
I can hear the.
Can you hear the rustle of the? I struggled actually to score this one. I have to be honest. Yesterday, I know I've been quite negative about it. I do think it's a good episode. Visually good, and I think the concept is good. It just doesn't quite hold together for me, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
A 7?
7 out of 10.
Okay.
Because, and this goes back to what I was saying just before we started recording. We were talking about our scores just before we started to record, and I think I gave Beast Below 6.5, and this is better than Beast Below, quite a bit better.
Okay.
So I couldn't go any lower than 7, and it possibly deserves a higher score, but that's what I'm scoring it.
Yeah, we both gave Beast Below 6.5. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you scoring this one?
This one, I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to say 7.
Interesting, actually, because I felt you might go higher. I actually thought I was going a bit low with 7, but it's a personal thing. I mean, that's just what I would score it. I'm not saying it's a bad episode by any means, but it's just not one that I would, rave about. So But I'm surprised. I felt you might enjoy this one a bit more. I thought you might be around about the 8 mark. So I'm quite surprised by your score.
Yeah, I thought, because when I just talking about this, if we were talking about this episode and we were basing it just purely on memory, I probably would have marked it a little bit higher, because of my kind of memories of the cool stuff between Matt and Saran and stuff and all that, but on a rewatch, and it's just it's just brought a few things to your eye that you didn't really sort of think about enough before, and it kind of niggled me afterwards, like a few things. I was like, yeah, why did they do this and why didn't we do that? And so I probably would have reviewed it as an 8, but after I've watched it a couple of times now, it's down to a 7, which I think is a reasonable score still.
Yeah, and it's different when you're watching something for a review, isn't it? Because let's go back to Paradise Towers just for a second, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm watching that just for my own enjoyment, I love it. If I'm watching it for a review and giving it an honest opinion, I have to look at it through a critical eye. So, you know what I mean? It's different.
Yeah.
If you're watching something just for your own entertainment, you can just enjoy something. But if you're actually watching it to give valid points on it, you have to notice these things. And I noticed quite a few in this one yesterday. I tell you what, just before we move on to our listeners' comments, just want to go back to what you're saying about Matt and some of his lovely scenes. I absolutely love the end of this episode where he's underneath the console with these soldering goggles on or something, and it's a beautifully played scene. He's talking about rooms that have been jettisoned from the TARDIS, and he tells Amy and Rory to go and find their bedroom, and he says, they say, oh, can we have not have bunk beds this time? And he's like, bunk beds are cool, a bed with a ladder, and those sort of lines, Matt's Doctor, Matt Smith just delivers brilliantly.
Yeah.
He's just brilliant in this.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, mate. And it's, I love how just after that bit when Amy and Rory go off and he's still on the swing, he's kind of got that really lovely, proud look. His TARDIS is back in action. He's sorting her out, and you can just tell from that point, just the look in his face, that he's looking forward to flying off with her, and whatever companion on new adventures. He's got that really kind of proud, made-up face. It's very cool.
Yeah, lovely little scene.
Yeah.
So, what did our listeners think?
What did our listeners think, indeed? So,
indeed.
Indeed. So on Facebook, we had a load of comments on this one, and we really appreciate you taking the time to do that, because some of them you've actually gone into quite a bit of detail. So you've obviously got quite strong thoughts on this one. I haven't got time to read them all out 100%, but I will read everyone's name and roughly what you said. So those two happy chappies at Who Addicts Reviews, you guys said you were really glad that we were reviewing this. I think
they're divided on it, aren't they? I think that's the thing with the Who Addicts guys. Like, one of them really loves it and the other one's just like, no, it's overrated.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they're glad.
Yeah. So Matt actually wrote this comment, and he does actually say my co-host James will hate it. And he said, a really clever episode. It's one of the best. And he puts it next to Genesis and Remembrance, in brackets, sorry, Gary, Caves and that sort of thing. So Matt really, really likes it. But I think James, not so much, but he's basically given it a 7.
Yeah, that's Matthew, isn't it?
That's Matt, yeah.
He's given it a 7. Yeah, which is actually on par with us, so that's good. I wonder what James would have given it. I'll have to... It
sounds like probably not a lot.
No, that's all right. I thought James was the one that really liked it. I might be wrong. Who else did we have? Devin Baker. Mm-hmm. He says it's really good apart from the stuff with Idris. One of Matt Smith's best, and that's not saying much. So clearly Devin, not a fan. Do you know, I think Matt's a brilliant Doctor, actually. The more I rewatch him, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, very good. Stuart Stockwin. My friggin' God, yes. An extremely superb episode. Has everything in it for him. Goes on to say that it's been done pretty well, turning the TARDIS into a sexy, human. Chemistry between the Doctor and Idris done very well. The writer and the director just didn't make corridors seem boring. I could go on and on how much I love this story, but he gives it an 8 out of 10.
So slightly higher there. Yeah.
Cheers, Stuart.
Cheers, Stuart. Kieran Knight, he says, so much to love. He's just rewatched it. He says, we've got a brilliant villain in the house. I don't know. I mean, we only really get to hear the voice, don't we? But yeah, okay. A great performance by Saran Jones as sexy. I mean, the TARDIS. Right, you'd agree with that. If it was an hour long, it may have been really special. And apparently they filmed another 15 minutes, which I really want to see. So would I, actually. This, again, agrees with what we said. It could have done with an extra 15 minutes. So, yeah, he just says, as it is, it's very memorable and very entertaining duo of auntie and uncle.
Okay.
So it sounds like he likes this one quite a bit.
Yeah. Matthew Thomas.
Hello, Matt.
An overrated, mediocre episode. Smith's era is one of my least favourite, to be honest. Concept of the TARDIS taking human form is a unique idea, but he thinks it's just fan service, really, rather than anything else. Idris was all right as the TARDIS. Overall, I didn't get the hype for this episode, but I do my best to try and join in. It doesn't really do it for him. 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I haven't gone that low, but I can see some of what he's saying there. Jack Pardy. Now, actually, I must just say a big thank you to Jack because Jack is the admin on the Doctor Who Universe page that gave us a plug earlier in the week, and it brought in a lot of new followers. So, Jack, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Jack says, I love the TARDIS. The storyline is great and the acting is fantastic. The character of Idris was exactly how the TARDIS should be in human body. The episode was also quite emotional at times. Yeah, it does have some good emotion. I have to agree with James in saying I don't think it's overrated. 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, I think James, he's talking about James from Who Addicts Review. I think James actually really likes this one. I don't know if it was worded slightly wrong in the comment above, but yeah.
That's probably me getting it wrong way around.
Well, I was just going to say to anyone sort of listening to us picking out bits from these comments, like Gary just said, we really appreciate your comments, but people have really left long comments this week, which is fantastic. But it does make it harder for us to read out in terms of your comments. But if you want to read everyone's full comments on this, just head over to the Facebook page. They're all on there.
Actually, the next comment on here probably confirms what we've just said. Because, because James himself has commented outside of the Who Addicts review. So James Wilson, part of the Who Addicts reviews. Hello, James.
Hi, James.
He's put, yes, my prayers have been answered. I adore The Doctor's Wife and think it's a revolutionary and brilliantly written episode, in my opinion. Not overrated at all. 9 out of 10.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad that James commented, so that clears that up then.
Yeah. Cheers, James.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Wow. You like that one, mate?
Wow. Ryan Anthony. He thought it was a good episode, however, a bit overrated. This word gets used a lot, doesn't it? The concept of the TARDIS going into human form was excellent and a unique idea. Idris was a good character played by Saran Jones, although I do find her annoying sometimes. So did I, Ryan. He loves the scene with Amy and Rory in the TARDIS. He thinks it was rather a dark scene. He says it was without doubt the best in Series 6, and he would give it a 6.5 out of 10. So if it's the best out of Series 6, and he's only given it 6.5, he's obviously not a fan of Series 6, and it was a bit of a bumpy ride, wasn't it?
Yeah, like we said, Series 6, it was a little bit up and down. Yeah,
and I've just got one more, actually, which is on the Geeks page. From Harry Westergaard, I believe. And he says, good story with some interesting ideas. It also looks great and is well directed. The Doctor calling TARDIS sexy can be a bit too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers, Harry.
Yeah. So some absolutely brilliant comments. And guys, thanks a lot. I know we sort of have sort of cherry picked out what you said, but it's just because there's so much good stuff there, but haven't got time to read it all. But yeah, head over to the Facebook page and have a look at everyone's comments for all their full in-depth reviews.
Very cool. I've just got a couple more quickly from Twitter.
Oh yeah, I forget about old Tweeter.
Our good friend Cousins 2019.
Oh, hi Cousins.
I loved the episode. One of the best of 11. So dark and great acting. I love the use of the corridors, not like Series 7. Okie dokie. And just one more. This is from I've lost him. Where are you? Come back. Peter Adamson. His Twitter name is Pedro the Whovian.
Oh yes, hello Peter.
He's just put, it's a great episode, very dark fitting in with that season's theme. So another good positive one there.
Yeah, actually, mate, just before we wrap this up, I have got to ask something I forgot to ask you in the review. What is the Ood doing there?
what is the Ood doing there? In the same way as we don't really know how Idris got there.
Oh, right, okay. I'm just trying to work out what the actual relevance of the Ood is. What's going on with it?
Well, he's a post. He's what's the word? He's an Ood that's been. What's the word? He's the Oods are born with their brain in their hands.
Yeah.
And there was. Do you remember the David Tennant story, The Planet of the Ood? I think.
Yeah.
Where all the Oods are kind of taken and they get that brain and that cord ripped out and replaced with a little speaker.
Yeah.
So he's obviously been through that process. So he's like a post-op Ood.
Right. Okay.
So we know that he's been altered. He's not a natural Ood. But you're right. How he got there, and I'm not sure. And he's also got green eyes, which makes me think that he's being controlled by House.
Right. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because I think... This is my opinion anyway, because normally the Ood have got just standard white eyes. It's only in a couple of episodes where they go red, where they get rabid.
Possessed.
Yes, and I think in this one, where he's got green eyes, I think that he's been put there. I think he crash landed there maybe on another ship somewhere, and House has basically taken over his consciousness and needs him as like a kind of slave. So when he's operating on auntie and uncle and stuff like that, maybe this Ood carries that out and does away with the body parts and just keeps the place tidy.
With you, okay, that's what because I was trying to work out what he was doing in the corridors, chasing Amy Rory as well. I just wasn't too sure. But I love the Ood. I don't care. I don't care what the reason is. So it's good to see him.
Yeah. Do you know what made me sad though?
What
is that instead of rescuing him and setting him free, he got squished when the junkyard TARDIS materialised. He just got evaporated, didn't he?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, doesn't the Doctor say something like, "Oh, once again, I didn't manage to save an Ood" or something?
Yeah, something like that.
There is a line in there, isn't there? Poor old Ood. They do have a tough life, don't they?
They do indeed.
They do. Well, I'm glad I asked, mate. That's cleared it up.
Well, I hope so. Anyway, that's just my thought.
No, I'll go with that. That's good for me.
Cool. So, thank you once again, guys, for giving us your comments. Like Adam said, it's very, very cool. And don't worry about leaving long comments if you want to go into that much details. Absolutely fine. We'll just pick out the relevant pieces, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that'll wrap, mate.
Okay.
Episode 31 done. Another episode in the can.
That's it.
Not to be recorded over, I might add.
No, I was just thinking that.
Not to be done away with, thrown
That's
into
it.
some weird archive to be deleted.
Lock it into the TARDIS vault. Yeah, we don't want it like the, what do they say? They archive the TARDIS consoles. We don't want to get it deleted.
Not at all.
That's it. Lock it in the TARDIS vault, Gary.
I will do, don't worry. So that is the episode done. We thank you very much again for your stuff. If you want to comment on next week's review episode, which will be Robot, which is Tom Baker, as I believe.
His first episode, Robot, yeah.
Very first one, so that's going to be interesting. I need to either go and watch that or order it, one of the two.
Yeah, preferably both.
Yeah, so jump over to Facebook and Twitter, give us your thoughts on that one. You can do that by just jumping to the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk, and on there you will find links to Twitter, Facebook and whatever else. So jump on and give us a like as well and a follow so you can keep up to date with what we're up to. Go and visit Adam's video channel on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag. If you just do a search for that, you'll find it easily enough. He's got so many good videos on there.
Cheers, buddy.
And you've got a cool one coming up, the Blu-ray box set, right?
Yeah. It's almost ready. It should be up soon.
It should be cool. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, cool.
So we will see you next time. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,
Allons-y!